The Pittsburgh Steelers' newest members spoke for the first time yesterday, and at the press conferences, something became somewhat of a theme. The Pittsburgh Steelers, they're on the verge of something special, apparently, and it makes sense. And I think Patrick Peterson and Nate Herbig, they're right about something. What's going on, everybody? I'm Noah Strackbine. Thank you for jumping on to Steelers to Go, your daily to-go cup of Pittsburgh Steelers news and analysis. Find us on youtube.com/All Steelers Talk and subscribe anywhere you get your podcasts. And today, we're talking about what Patrick Peterson and Nate Herbig had to say at their opening press conferences and the fact that maybe the Pittsburgh Steelers are a very, very close team to making a run because the pieces are in place. Let's start with this. This is what Patrick Peterson had to say about why he chose the Pittsburgh Steelers.
What is it about the Steelers beyond Mike Tomlin that makes you think this team can do that? Is it the defensive stars they have? Is it the young offensive core with guys like Kenny Pickett and some of the players you faced a couple years ago? What kind of brought you to that point with them?
A little bit of all of it. I think the defense, on the defensive side of the ball, got stars on all three levels. Then you go on the offensive side of the ball, did a great job over the last couple of years of picking great young talent. You got receivers, you got running back, you got now you have a nice young dual threat quarterback that kind of doesn't he wear the glove too?
Two gloves.
Two gloves. So now he has a little bend in him as well. Ben used to drop the left glove, but you can see that he has that pedigree because once he stepped into the lineup, you just seen a different identity and a new pizzazz that came with him being in the lineup. So it's a lot of great talent around here. And when you have, Coach T, that's going to continue to get the best out of players. So everything's there. Now it's just going to be upon us to go out there and execute the game plan, stand healthy because best teams necessarily don't always win. The healthiest team sometimes win. So we want to be. I'm sure the training staff and coach will do a great job to make sure that the guys their bodies are prepared to go. But at the end of the day, it's talent all across the board on this football roster, and I'm excited to be a part of it. And I just can't wait to see what Coach T has got cooked up, to try to get us to that next level.
So for those of you who have struggled with this concept, and I think I was part of that for a little while, I've come to the realization that the Pittsburgh Steelers, they were and still are in a rebuild. That's what you want. That's what you have to call it. The Pittsburgh Steelers were and are in a rebuild. The good thing is the Pittsburgh Steelers rebuild better than pretty much anybody in the NFL. There is no down years. I think 2 years ago should have been the down year. Ben Roethlisberger stuck around an extra year. You win extra games if you have Ben Roethlisberger. That's just how it works. But that should have been the year that everything kind of crumbled, because it did. Everything kind of crumbled. Last year was the pieces are in place. Now they just have to mesh year. And this year, the Pittsburgh Steelers, they have their young core. They're going to finish putting their young core together this offseason. And they've put the pieces in place to have veteran presence for the next 2 to 3 years, where those guys can mentor the next group of young guys so that there are not too many young guys within this lineup. And at the same time, provide winning quality play so that they could actually make a run. And that is the key to success in the NFL. Veteran guys who are superstars, and then veteran guys who are capable, have a chip on their shoulder, and are ready to win. And then young stars like Kenny Pickett, like George Pickens, like Najee Harris and James Daniels and Pat Freiermuth, that are on the verge of being ready to take a team wherever it wants to go. And that's the window that the Pittsburgh Steelers have officially entered. They have gone from a team that needed to regroup. I'm going to call it a rebuild, but you could call it a remodel, a regroup, whatever. They needed that time to make the transition from the last Pittsburgh Steelers team to the new Pittsburgh Steelers team. Now they're here and the window has opened. And it does not mean that they are Super Bowl bound this season. The Pittsburgh Steelers are not most likely Super Bowl bound this season. But if it happened, who would be surprised? Not me. I'd look at it and say, the Pittsburgh Steelers have all the pieces in place. They have 2 star wide receivers. They have a third one coming up. They got a great running back. They got a good quarterback. They got a decent offensive line. They got a good defense, a really good defense. And they have one of the best coaches in football. Just to sum it up,
it's the Steelers. Like, come on, what isn't there about it? Like, I don't have enough good things to say. Like, guys on the team have already reached out to me. Kenny reached out to me, man. It just shows his leadership already. I'm just happy to be here. I'm happy to be a part of this team.
it's the Steelers. They do things better than most teams in the NFL. They've created the window for themselves a lot smoother than most teams do it in the NFL. Now, how wide is that window? I'd say the window is about 3 years wide. The Steelers have from this season to the next 3 seasons to hit elite form, to hit that. Kenny Pickett is a monster and he's still on a rookie deal. Najee Harris still has a ton left in the tank. George Pickens has hit nearly elite status. Deontay Johnson is a star. Pat Freiermuth is a star. The offensive line has finally been finished and put together. The defense is still there and still has stardom in TJ Watt, Minkah Fitzpatrick, Alex Highsmith, hopefully. Whoever they bring in at corner, but for the time being, Patrick Peterson will easily do. And an inside linebacker core and the rest of the remaining pieces that include the inside linebacker core that are just quality players. Larry Ogunjobi, DeMonte KZ, the new linebackers, just quality players, guys that you need to win. Most NFL Super Bowl bound teams have a few guys that push their team over the edge and a lot of guys that are quality enough players to be winning football players. The Pittsburgh Steelers have those pieces in place. So now the window has opened. And in those next 3 years, they should hit a point where it is very easy to see how good this team could be. I think a lot of people have a hard time seeing it right now because the last 2 years were spent putting it together, making this team what it is. Now it's about keeping the team and letting everything click. We won't be able to tell how good they are this season until we see how well everything clicks. And then next year, you'll get a sense of, okay, well, everything's there. By the end of this upcoming season, everything looked like it was a well-oiled machine. They just didn't have the talent. They didn't have that. There weren't the superstars yet that were ready to go win a Super Bowl. And then the year after, you should be able to have a sense of, well, Kenny Pickett's about to be there. George Pickens is about to be there, or he's already there. TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith have hit a whole new level. Health has been good. The offensive line has clicked. They're it. We finally, the Steelers finally have an offensive line. You'll be able to see these things. But in the grand scheme of things, people should be excited because Patrick Peterson is right. The Pittsburgh Steelers, they are a team that certainly can go out and make a run. There is no reason that they shouldn't. To do what they did last season meant that they have the pieces and they have the coach and they have the organization. They just need to get to a point where they're not that, oh, well, we're fighting for a playoff spot because we took a bad team and made it good. That's where they were last year. They took a bad team, they made it good. This year, it's how good can we get? And then in the next 3 years, which includes this upcoming season, it's about Well, okay, the Pittsburgh Steelers, they're one of the best. They're ready. They're ready to go make that run. The window's open. I don't think a lot of people saw that the window was open leaving last season. I don't think I saw that the window was open leaving last season, but I'll say it right now because you look at this roster and you could clear as day see it. The Pittsburgh Steelers, they've put their pieces together. The puzzle is nearly complete. Now it's just about how good can it get when it all clicks? And we'll find out.